Night one of the 2024 NFL Draft has concluded, and we've got some very interesting stories to talk about. Some very shocking picks went in the first round, especially towards the back end. But we had some very interesting news. Now, I was live earlier this afternoon with the mock draft guys, so we talked about a lot of this stuff. But I'm very excited to get into it. The first few picks were pretty chalk, but after that, we really got to see some shockers down the board. I'm super excited to get into this. If you guys enjoy NFL draft content, hit the like and subscribe button. If you guys are watching this just to get an opinion, check out the shared playlist down below. I've got all my prospect spotlights in there. So you guys are going to be able to see my full evaluations on all of these players. I'm not going to be able to touch on everything here. Leave a like, subscribe if you are new, ring that notification bell. We have so much coming throughout this draft, these draft videos. And let's take a closer look at these grades with the number one overall pick. We're not going to go by team. We are going to go by players. So each pick gets a grade. Starting off with number one, it's an A+ for Caleb Williams to Chicago. We've known about this for some time, but Chicago now has a real chance to find their maybe first franchise quarterback in franchise history. This team has been searching for a long time. And I think Caleb Williams is, I don't know if I'd give him that generational tag, but he's very close if he's not. He's got unbelievable arm talent, his ability to throw off platform, keep his eyes upfield, find the open man down the field. And they have built an incredible roster around him. DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Keenan Allen, a good offensive line. This team is going to be very good, I think, in 2024. We didn't even mention the defense. And you got maybe the best quarterback that we've seen in the last 5 to 6 years. I'm a huge fan of this pick. I think it's an easy A+ for the Bears. At number two, we have Jaden Daniels. It's an A. Jaden Daniels is a bit tricky for me to evaluate because his upside is there. He's an excellent running quarterback. He's a very good athlete. He's got the ability to make jukes in the open field, create plays with his legs that I don't think very many other quarterbacks can do. The accuracy at times is off. A lot of deep balls, a lot of go routes. Theo Ash, when he came on for my mock draft, really explained it perfectly. And outside of the 1 year at LSU where he won the Heisman, we hadn't really seen him do very much. Now, he's a great athlete. I think he fits the system perfectly. I think the upside is there. If he is this Heisman version of Jaden Daniels, I think he's a top 12 to 15 quarterback in the league. But I think there are some concerns there, which is why it's not an A+. I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington's got a dynamic playmaker, and it gets an A. At number three, the Patriots went Drake May. So we saw a quarterback go with the first 3 picks in this draft. It gets a B+. Drake May is a bit polarizing and a guy that I've been on record saying I think if any of these quarterbacks are going to be a bust, I think it's going to be Drake May. And I think a lot of it's not because of the pick, because I think he's a good quarterback. He's got great size. He's got great arm talent. He's mobile. He's pretty accurate. He goes down the middle of the field. My issue with May really stems from his pressure. He does not do well against pressure, and this is a New England offensive line that is not good. At pick 35, I think they have to address offensive line, so I'm going to be interested to see kind of where they go there, but I think Drake May also, there's just no weapons there. We saw him with no weapons last year. The Patriots are in a bit of a tricky spot, I think. I think Drake May could be a very good quarterback at the next level, but there are some concerns with his game for me. It's a B+. I still think you got a franchise quarterback at number 3. You've got a guy that you really think can be the long-term solution for you, and it gives your fans hope. It's a B+ for the Patriots. The number 4 overall pick is an A+, maybe the best pick in the entire draft, the best player in the entire draft, in my opinion, Marvin Harrison Jr. Size, speed, route running hands. He does everything you need from a wide receiver standpoint. This is what Arizona needed. They needed to get Kyler a number 1. They reunite Paris Johnson, Marvin Harrison Jr. This is going to be a dynamic offense, I think. You got him with Trey McBride. Now Greg Dortch, he's your speedy guy. And I wouldn't be shocked if they double dip at receiver. I like what Arizona did tonight. Marvin Harrison Jr. gets an A+ pick from me. The Chargers went with a Joe Alt. I think it's an A. I like Alt quite a bit. I think he's a really honestly, you could give him the generational tag as well because he is so dynamic in pass pro. He's so dynamic as a run blocker. 6'7", 300 pounds. He's got it all, the length, the hands, everything you want. And this is a Chargers team that is building from the trenches. Now, I think my issue with this pick and why it's not an A+, there is a little bit of uncertainty with it. Rashawn Slater, who a lot of people thought was going to play guard when he was drafted, is your left tackle. Joe Alt is a natural left tackle. Do they move Slater to the right side? Do they move Alt to the right side? What do they do there with that situation? That does give me a couple of question marks, but overall, I think Joe Alt is a phenomenal pick for the Chargers. We've been hearing that Harbaugh and Roman, they wanted to build through the trenches. I think they are going to get to do exactly that. Joe Alt at number 5 to the Chargers was fantastic, and it gets an A from me. Malik Neighbors went number 6 to the Giants. This is another pick that's an A. This team is going to be fireworks on the offensive side of the ball. You've got Jalen Hyatt, Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson. This team is going to be super fast, and they're just going to beat guys down the field. The secondaries aren't going to have the speed to match up with it, which is why I really like this pick for the Giants. Why I don't really love this pick for the Giants, he feels a little bit too similar to the receivers they have. Now, I think he's better than those guys. I think he's way better than Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson. This is no knock on Malik Neighbors. I would have liked to see them go with Rome Odunze here because I don't think they have that true X receiver. I think Malik Neighbors is like a Jalen Waddle kind of player where he's just going to be a dynamic slot weapon. While Jalen Waddle has been a fantastic receiver so far in his NFL career, I think the Giants really needed to address size on the outside. Slayton can't be your X, and that's why I have this as an A and not an A+. Good pick, though, overall from the Giants. I think this offense is going to be really fun. A bit surprised they didn't go with a quarterback here. At number 7, the Tennessee Titans went with J.C. Latham. I gave it a B. I know a lot of people like J.C. Latham in the NFL draft community. These are my grades, not the community grades. I gave it a B. I know I'm a Colts fan. I'm very unbiased. I was very high on Peter Skoronski last year, very high on Tajay Spears. I thought they killed the draft last year. This year, though, Latham is a good tackle. I think his ability in run protection, his ability in pass pro, he's got the upside. He's an absolute tank. He's a people mover, very athletic, could maybe play guard at the next level if you really wanted him to. I think there's better tackles on the board. I like Olu Fosu. I like Troy Fautanu. I like Talise Fuaga. Heck, I even like a Marius Mims over Latham. And I think this team could have gone Brock Bowers. I wouldn't have minded that pick. Latham, for me, I really have questions about his motor. How is he going to hold up? Because he gave up on plays way too early at times last year, and that is very concerning for me from a guy you took with the number 7 overall pick. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think J.C. Latham is going to be good. It's a B for me. I'm not in love with the pick, but I think it's above average. You got a very good player at a position of need. At number 8, the Atlanta Falcons absolutely shocked the NFL draft world when they took Michael Penix Jr. This pick gets a D from me. Now, you guys know I'm on record. I absolutely love Michael Penix Jr. as a prospect. I thought he 1,000% should have been a first-round pick. The ball placement is better than any quarterback in this draft. He's got unbelievable arm talent. He's more athletic than I think we give him credit for. And we've been saying he needs to fall into a spot with weapons and an offensive line in place, which Atlanta has. But this is a Falcons team that defensively has not been able to create much pressure. Their secondary has some question marks outside of A.J. Terrell and Jesse Bates. All the defensive guys are still on the board. If you want Penix, I know there were talks that maybe they wanted to, that other teams were trying to jump up to get Penix. I get it. You didn't need a quarterback, though. I really don't think they needed this. You gave Kirk Cousins a 4-year, $100 million contract. Why are you drafting a quarterback within the top 10? I think it's a bad look for Atlanta. Kirk Cousins was not in the running for this. Like, they told him as they were making the pick, hey, we're taking Michael Penix Jr. Kirk Cousins' camp is stunned, just like the rest of us. I'm shocked. I don't think this pick makes very much sense at all. And it gets a D for me. And I love Michael Penix Jr., the player. I just don't think this makes sense. At number 9 was maybe my favorite pick in the entire draft. Rome Odunze to the Bears. This team is going to be must-see TV. We talked about Caleb Williams with all those weapons. You get him, in my opinion, the second best receiver in this class. His ability to separate is off the charts. His contested catch rate is so low because he just doesn't get contested catches. He separates incredibly well. He's got very good speed. His route running is incredible. And he's got maybe the best hands in this entire draft class. Rome Odunze, it gets an A+ at pick 9. I think this makes a ton of sense. At number 10, the Vikings traded up one spot to jump the Jets and take JJ McCarthy. It gets a B minus. It's not because of the pick. The pick itself is an A for me. It's the fact that you had to trade up. You gave up draft capital to get a guy at number 10 that I think you probably could have gotten there at number 11. Unless you knew the Jets were going to take him, which I don't. It honestly has me very curious if the Jets were going to take McCarthy at 10, because I don't think you make that move unless you know the Jets are going to do that. It's interesting. I didn't love the trade, but I got to be honest. I think McCarthy's got a real chance to win Rookie of the Year. And I'm not a big JJ McCarthy guy, but he goes to a spot with great offensive line. He goes to a spot with a great quarterbacks coach and Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and TJ Hawkinson catching balls from him. He's going to be awesome for them, I think, next year. I give it a B minus. The pick itself is about an A, but the trade involved, I was not a fan of. At number 11, Olu Fosu, it gets a B plus. With Brock Bowers still on the board, I think they could have gone with Brock Bowers, and it probably would have made a little bit more sense here. They just needed to, I think, improve the weapons, and there was a lot of links there between Bowers and the Jets. They went with Fosu, which I like. I think he's one of the more underrated tackles in this draft class. He's got incredible size. He's a very good pass protector. Did the Jets really need that, though? Long-term, maybe Tyron Smith's on a one-year deal, so you got him. But I think this team's in win-now mode. It's still a B plus because I think Fosu is a heck of a player that not a lot of people are giving the credit he deserves. But I think they could have gone a little bit better here and gotten a weapon, or maybe traded back if you wanted to go O-line a little bit further and get more capital. Either way, it gets a B plus for me for the Jets. At number 12, the Broncos went with Bo Nix. It gets a B. I'm not in love with the pick, but I think Bo Nix is a heck of a quarterback. I think he's massively underrated. Some people say he's the product of the system. You could make that argument, but I think he's a lot better than that. He can throw on the run very well. He's incredibly accurate with the football. And he's exactly what Sean Payton wants. He's the exact Sean Payton quarterback. If you look at the Drew Brees college numbers and Bo Nix, they're eerily similar. I think it makes a lot of sense. At 12, maybe it's a bit rich with some other needs there, but it's still a B because you got your quarterback of the future. And now I think there's a clear number one in that quarterback room, which should give Broncos fans some excitement. I know Bo Nix was a guy that not a lot of people loved coming into the draft process, but he really helped his draft stock, I think, throughout this pre-draft process. And it gets a B for me. I think he's going to be a good quarterback for the Broncos. At number 13, one of my least favorite picks of the first round, to be honest, and it's Brock Bowers to the Raiders. Now, first of all, I hate the Raiders for taking Bowers because I thought he was going to the Colts for sure. I'm like, oh, he made it past the Jets. We're in the clear. Brock Bowers, welcome to Indy. And then the Raiders took him. So I was like, okay. But when you think about what this Raiders team needs, this didn't make any sense to me. One, you have great tackles on the board. Fuaga, Fautanu, Mims. They have a need at tackle. They should have gone with one of the tackles. I know it's a tackle-rich draft class. Probably still should have gone with the tackle. It's a more important position. Two, you got a need at corner. All the corners are on the board. Pick your poison. And they went with Brock Bowers. The other reason I didn't like it, you just drafted Michael Mayer last year. Have you already given up on Michael Mayer? I don't think this is this 1-2 punch that everyone thinks. I don't think they're going to be running a lot of 2 tight end sets like that. You've got Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers. Like, this pick didn't make any sense to me. Bowers is a excellent tight end, one of the best players in this draft class. But from a team fit and team need perspective, I didn't think it made any sense for the Raiders. And it gets a C. The player gives it a C. The fit itself, I absolutely hate. Similar to the Tyree Wilson pick last year, which I did not understand, and I still don't, to be honest. Bowers gets a C. At number 14, it's Talise Fuaga. It gets a B+. I think this is a great pick. Maybe your Ryan Ramczyk replacement. You like that. But on the other hand, he can play guard for you. And I think that's kind of why the Saints went here. I think he's got some versatility to play on the offensive line. The Saints have one of the most desperate offensive line situations imaginable. Trevor Penning, who knows what his long-term situation is going to be? He was terrible. Ryan Ramczyk's health, he might not be able to play anymore. They needed to upgrade at tackle, and I think they did just that by getting Fuaga. It gets a B+ because I think left tackle was a bigger need for them. I think I would have gone Troy Fautanu, but I think Fuaga is a heck of a player, and at number 14, you get really good value. At number 15, it's my Indianapolis Colts. This pick gets an A++. This was one of my favorite picks of the first round, and it's not just because it was my team. It's because it was Latu Latu at number 15. If you guys have followed the channel, you know I am over the moon for Latu Latu. I absolutely love this guy. And he's now on my team. I probably will be getting a Latu Latu jersey, to be completely honest. This guy has something that he's going to come in. The Colts haven't had a dynamic pass rusher like this in a very long time. They really haven't. And they got to pick whoever they wanted. And they picked the right guy. I thought they were going to go Turner. I thought they were going to screw it up and go Byron Murphy, which would have been a terrible fit for the Colts. I thought they were going to go Turner because of the athletic upside, but no. Ballard took the guy. They took Latu Latu, who has an unbelievable array of pass rush moves. He stops the run. He can also drop into coverage. And Gus Bradley's defense. This is a home run for the Colts. It's an A-plus pick. I think they absolutely nailed it. And Latu Latu, welcome to Indianapolis. I'm so excited. The Colts haven't had a dynamic pass rusher like this since Dwight Freeney, who's going to the Hall of Fame, and Robert Mathis. Latu Latu is going to be an unbelievable player in Indianapolis. At 16, it was Byron Murphy to Seattle. This is an A pick. I know I said I hated it to the Colts. This was what Seattle needed. They needed a pass rushing defensive tackle to play in Mike Macdonald's system, and they got that. We saw what he did with Justin Madubuike, got him an absolute haul of a contract, and now you got Byron Murphy coming in, who is one of the best pass rushing interior defensive linemen in the draft. I think this is an excellent fit for him. It's going to be a really good spot for him to really develop. And I really like this. This pick gets an A for me for Seattle. At number 17, it was Dallas Turner. Now the Vikings traded up with the Jaguars. It gets an A because you just got this pass rush trio of Jonathan Grenard, who I think is more your power guy, Dallas Turner, who's your speed finesse guy, and then Andrew Van Ginkel could be that rotational pass rusher. Brian Flores right now has to be over the moon about this pass rush. This pass rush had Danielle Hunter last year, and now they have upgraded this by losing him. I think this pass rush is going to be phenomenal. They stayed with 2 first-round picks, and they get Dallas Turner, who I think you could argue is the best edge rusher in this class. I think he needs a little bit more refinement in his game, maybe develop a little bit more moves. But the athletic upside is through the roof. I think he's going to be great for him. And this pick gets an A for me. Not an A+ because I think, again, you gave up more assets, which you don't have a ton of. But nonetheless, it's an A from Minnesota. At number 18, the Bengals went with the Marius Mims. It got a B- for me. Again, there were a lot. I think this was a team that could have traded back. They could have gone receiver. They could have gone edge. And they went with the tackle. And they went with the tackle I love in Marius Mims. But with Troy Fautanu on the board with, I think Marius Mims is one of the biggest wild cards in this draft class because he's only played 8 collegiate games. And while I think he's a fantastic player and I'm a big fan, I think it's a B-. We don't know what you're getting right now. I think there were other positions that need better players at the positions of need, in my opinion. And you went with Mims, who they love their big offensive tackles. We knew that. Trent Brown, only a 1-year deal. So he could be your long-term guy there, can develop a year. So I think it makes sense. Nonetheless, I think it's a B- for me. I'm not super in love with it, but I do think it makes quite a bit of sense for the Bengals. I just think I would have gone Fautanu. That's really the selling point there. At 19, the Rams with Jared Verse. I talked about this on my stream with the mock draft guy. It's an A+ pick. It makes way too much sense for this team. They drafted Byron Young last year, who is that speed rusher off the edge. Now you got Jared Verse, who's going to be that power rusher. You've now got a thunder and lightning duo that I think is going to be absolutely fantastic for them. And they got a pretty solid defensive interior with Kobe Turner, who was good. The Rams defense is going to be really fun to watch. They're young, they're quick, and I think they've got a guy who could be in the defensive rookie of the year race because I think he's in a great system to succeed. I love this for the Rams. It gets an A+ for me. At number 20, another A+ pick. It is Troy Fautanu to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I love this for them because I love the versatility he's going to provide to your offensive line. Do you want him to play left tackle? He can do that very well. We saw it at Washington. Do you want him to play guard? He could do that very well. You can move him all over your offensive line. Now you've got a guy that's going to be protecting Russell Wilson, protecting Justin Fields for a long time. I love it. I think this pick makes so much sense for them. You got one of the best athletes in the draft class. Grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan as well. I love it for the Steelers. A plus. Back to the negativity here. Chop Robinson got a D, and if I could give it an F, I might. This is my least favorite pick of round one. First of all, look at the players on the board here. Jordan Morgan, Graham Barton, Jackson Powers Johnson, Zach Frazier. Heck, even Xavier Worthy would have been a better pick here. Chop Robinson, this is not supposed to sound like I don't like Chop Robinson as a prospect. He's a top 50 guy. I didn't have a first round grade on him though. And Chop is a guy who's incredibly athletic, very short arms, very limited pass rush arsenal, and he just wins with speed. They've got Jalen Phillips. They got Bradley Chubb. I know edge is a need. Defensive tackle, I would have rather them go. Jerzon Newton's there. That would have made sense. Receiver would have made sense. They went with an edge, and I just do not understand it. Chop Robinson's a good edge rusher, not a great one. It doesn't make sense for this team, I don't think. It gets a D. I really hate this for Miami. I think they wasted a pick in a year where they needed to maximize all their draft capital, and I think they did a horrible job at that. It gets a D from me. At number 22, one of my favorite picks of the night, Quintin Mitchell, the first corner off the board, comes off at 22. Goes to a system where he's going to be absolutely incredible. Can play that off-man coverage on the opposite side of Darius Slay. He's been compared to Darius Slay as well. So I think a guy who's got incredible quickness. He's got good man coverage abilities, great zone abilities, good ball skills. It's what the Eagles need. I think the secondary is going to be back to where it was a couple years ago with Slay, Mitchell, CJ Gardner-Johnson. You can bring in Avonte Maddox. You can bring in James Bradbury at times. I don't know how much you're going to want to do that, but Quintin Mitchell is my CB1. I absolutely love this for the Eagles, and the value at 22 is through the roof. It's an A plus for me. At number 23, another A plus. Jacksonville trades back and gets a guy who I thought they were going to take at 17, and Brian Thomas Jr., a guy who they lost Calvin Ridley. They lost him to Tennessee, kind of stabbed him in the back at the last second. Brian Thomas Jr. is a guy I compared to Calvin Ridley. The speed, the quickness, the ability to win downfield, and the size are very similar to Calvin Ridley. Now, I'm going to say this. I think he's going to have a better career than Calvin Ridley. He's going to be a very, very good player for this team. You've got now that speed guy. Gabe Davis is that deep ball threat, but I also think now this team's going to be really hard to defend. You got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas Jr. Evan Ingram as well is a great tight end receiving threat. They've got weapons right now in Jacksonville that I feel very good about right now. If I'm Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence, I think we've got pieces here that can make us a contender. At number 24, the Lions traded up with the Cowboys and took Teran Arnold. I mean, what is there to say? Dan Campbell, you are a bad, bad man. This was an unbelievable move by the Lions because you got arguably the best corner in this draft class. Could play in the slot, could play on the outside. He's going to play on the outside with Carlton Davis and then Brian Branch in the slot. I mean, come on. This secondary went from not looking too good to being one of the most fun electric secondaries. A guy who can stop and go on a dime, can play in the slot outside. He could do whatever you need him to do. Teran Arnold at 24 was tremendous value, and I absolutely love this if I'm the Lions. It gets an A plus from me. At 25, it's Jordan Morgan of the Packers. It gets a C. I don't think it's a bad pick. I don't think it's a great pick either. He's probably going to play guard. He does remind me a little bit of Elgton Jenkins. I just was kind of confused by this pick. Most of the secondary is still on the board. I think they could have traded back. I think they could have gone edge, linebacker. Offensive tackle is not usually where Green Bay goes in round one. And a guy that I didn't really think was a round one worthy tackle is probably going to play guard, as I said, to be the replacement for John Runyon. But yeah, it's a C. I'm not moved by it. It's kind of average for me. We'll be interested to see what Green Bay ends up turning him into. At 26, the Bucs went with Graham Barton. It's a B plus for me. I love his versatility on this offensive line. Probably going to play. It looks like they're going to play him at center to be the Ryan Jensen replacement, which is interesting to me. I would play him at guard, maybe move Cody Mock to center. But overall, I think him and Cody Mock are going to be really fun on that interior because both of them just block with another level of nastiness that you just don't see in offensive linemen. Graham Barton is a nasty run blocker. I think the value is there at 26. He's got a lot of upside. it's a B plus for me. I think this is a really smart pick for the Buccaneers. At number 27, it's Darius Robinson to the Arizona Cardinals. It's a B plus, maybe could be like a B. I think Darius Robinson's very interesting. He's got size. He's got a ton of versatility. Could play him at 3-tech. Could play him as an edge. I think there's a guy that Jonathan Gannon's really going to like because I think he can use him almost anywhere on this defensive line. He can use him, like I said, everywhere. He could play off the edge. He's a lot quicker than his numbers are going to say. I think he's going to be a very good player for Arizona at the next level. I think he's going to be a better pro than he was in college. I compared him to Cameron Jordan, and at 27, I think this is tremendous value. It gets a B plus for me. I think Darius Robinson is going to be a stud. At number 28, the Chiefs traded up for Xavier Worthy. It's an A minus. We can maybe give it an A plus. The speed, it's Tyreek Hill 2.0 for this team. How are you going to defend this guy down the field? Ran a 4.23 40. You give him Patrick Mahomes, his ability to win deep. It's ridiculous. I think this pick makes way too much sense for Kansas City. It's an A pick for me. I love it. I think this is a pick that is going to be a really good one for the Chiefs long term. I don't really know what to say. He can run routes really well. The hands can be a bit of a concern, which, he'll catch it when it matters most, like Marquez Valdes-Scantling does. It's an A pick for Kansas City. At number 29, the Cowboys traded back with Detroit, and they land Tyler Guyton. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with him. I think he could play right tackle for you. It looks like they want to play him at left, which to me is a bit interesting to be your Tyron Smith replacement. But I don't know. This is an interesting move for them. I would play Tyler Smith at left tackle and try and develop Guyton at right. His athleticism is there. He's still a bit raw, unpolished at the tackle position, but you could certainly see the upside is there with him. And at 29, it's very good value for me. It's a B-plus pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Improve the trenches. It was a must for Dallas coming into this draft. At number 30, the Ravens went with Nate Wiggins. It's an A pick. Tremendous value to get one of the top 3 corners in this draft here on a lot of people's boards. The size is a bit concerning. Came in at 170 at the combine. He's got to get a bit stronger, but he's physical. He's super quick, ran a 4.2 at the NFL Combine. He's got a lot of the things you look for: quickness, ball skills, agility. It's an A. The Ravens needed to improve this secondary, and now Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins make a pretty fun cornerback duo. At number 31, Ricky Pearsall to the Niners. It's a B minus. Now, it's funny. On the stream with the mock draft guy, I said Ricky Pearsall is going to be that guy that I could see going in the first round that nobody expects to see go in the first round. Sure enough, he goes at 31, and it looks like the Chiefs are going to be moving Deebo Samuel, the Niners are going to be moving Deebo. Very interesting. And I actually like this for Ricky Pearsall. Great situation. He's physical. He's a great route runner, and he's very versatile, very similar to Deebo Samuel in that regard. It's a B minus, though. I think you reached a little bit here. I think you could have traded back and got him later on down the board. At 31, I think he's going to be a good player for the Niners, but I think offensive line with Zach Frazier would have made sense there. I think defensive interior would have made sense with Jazon Newton. Some good corners on the board as well. I think 31 is a bit rich for Ricky Pearsall, who is definitely a my guy in this class, but it gets a B minus for me. And the final pick of the first round, the Carolina Panthers come up to get Xavier Leggett. It's a B plus. I love Leggett. I've been saying he should be a first round pick for quite some time. Sure enough, Carolina comes up, gets their guy. I think it makes a lot of sense. His ability to win downfield. He's a good athlete. He's got great hands. I think this is going to be exactly what Bryce Young needs. And this receiving trio now with Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Leggett, and then Mingo, I think you've got some pieces there to really work with if you're Carolina. But that's going to do it, guys. Those are my day 1 grades. Stay tuned. I'll be doing my grades for tomorrow, and I'm going to be doing a mock draft immediately after this of rounds 2 and 3 of the draft. So if you guys want to see kind of how I think things should shape up, hit that notification bell so you're notified when that goes live, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.